Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and yesterday OnePlus dropped the all-new OnePlus 70, and the most requested video from us was a camera comparison between the 70 and the very popular Asus ROG Phone 2, and we listened to you, which is why we're going to do exactly that. This is a full-fledged camera comparison between these two phones and might help you decide which one is your cup of tea. So without any further ado, let's jump into this video. Also, before going into the video, if you haven't subscribed to the Mr. Phone channel, please do that so that you get to see these cool smartphones compared, and also hit the bell icon right next to it so that you get notified when we put out an awesome new video. Now, on the first look at this daylight close-up shots, the two smartphones have clearly different colors. Asus lacks contrast and botches up that pink color. The OnePlus 70 for me actually brings out the best looking color. It has good contrast and a very appealing look. Zooming in, the ROG actually has great focus, and while the 70 also has focus, it's slightly shaken. Here the OnePlus looks very appealing, as I said, but the ROG Phone 2 looks different. The ROG Phone 2 goes for a more natural color tone on the flower, but what it does wrong, I think, here is actually bring out all the shadows, which means that there is less dynamics in the picture. Which also means again that it lacks contrast, which makes the image overall look slightly unappealing. With the focus, the OnePlus 70 seems to have done the best job and has kept the most areas in focus. In this one, I'm going OnePlus 70 followed by the Asus ROG Phone 2. Now we move to daylight wide shot, and honestly both these smartphones have done a phenomenal job, and without zooming in I could make both of them the winner. There is a color temperature difference though. The ROG Phone 2 is slightly cooler while the 70 is warm. Now it's not as warm as the OnePlus 7 Pro used to be, but it's still warm. That said, the dynamic range is very well controlled on both smartphones. Now let's get to business. Compared to the OnePlus phone, the ROG lacks details even though they use the exact same sensor, the Sony IMX586 48 megapixel sensor. If you look at the building especially, you'll just see how the OnePlus is just miles better in detail, in natural details, compared to the Asus ROG Phone 2. Even coming to corner performance, you can see how the OnePlus 70 is just clearly better than the Asus ROG Phone 2. Now let's look at just another picture to make sure we are grading it right, and here the differences are subtler than the last picture. The main difference is that Asus has, while exposed the shadows very well, it just makes it lose dynamics in the picture and contrast in the picture. The OnePlus phones may look underexposed in comparison in some areas. I think it overall adds to the dynamics of the picture and makes the picture look very appealing. And also the details are lacking on the Asus, which is why I think the OnePlus 70 again wins this round, very closely followed by the ROG Phone 2. Now we move to the ultra wide angle camera. Both these smartphones have ultra wide camera. The third camera on the 70 is actually a telephoto lens, but we're talking about the ultra wide here, and these cameras are getting very popular now. The iPhones have them. Now the wide angle camera in the 70 compared to the standard sensor in the 70 does not have parity in the picture. That's another topic altogether. Here we are comparing the ultra wide cameras of the two phones, and what I can see is that the same color temperature that we saw with the standard pictures are here. You have Asus with a cooler picture and OnePlus with a slightly warmer picture, but when you look at the overall exposure, the dynamics of the picture, and when you zoom in and see the details, the OnePlus just is better. Moving to portrait mode, here the skin tones that the OnePlus phone produces are slightly saturated, and the ROG Phone 2 on the other hand retains close to natural tone. This actually has been the case with the ROG Phone 2, where it takes very natural colors every time. So maybe for someone who does not like all that color grading that smartphones do and wants to edit his or her photos, the ROG Phone 2 is actually a very good choice. That said, it sadly does not have a telephoto lens, which is why it looks less like a DSLR image, and that's why the OnePlus photo looks more like it came out of a DSLR, because it uses a telephoto lens, is able to get closer to the subject and get that creamy bokeh in the background as well. The edge cutout is very similar on both, but because of the way the telephoto lens is being used, I think I'll prefer the portrait mode on the OnePlus 70. That said, the Asus does a phenomenal job as well. Now, if I was comparing with the OnePlus 7 Pro, the Asus would have had an advantage because it would be shooting the portrait mode picture with the 48 megapixel sensor, and the OnePlus would only be using the telephoto lens. That said, with the 70, OnePlus has improved that, and now you can actually choose which lens you want to take portrait from. So you can choose the telephoto lens, and you can also choose the standard 48 megapixel sensor. Now moving to selfie, this is where the Asus actually slightly shines, And that is not necessarily because how good the selfie is. I think the dynamic range on the Asus is just phenomenal compared to the OnePlus phone. Even the background, even the face, the area around the nose and the forehead, you can clearly see that the OnePlus is not very good with that dynamic range. That said, the details on the OnePlus are really good. There are natural details on the Asus, but there is a lot of noise as well. And when you compare it to the OnePlus 70, maybe look at the area near the shirt, you'll just see how good that OnePlus detail is. I think with the selfie, I'm gonna give equal points to both because the Asus has done a good job with dynamic range, but the OnePlus has done a phenomenal job with details. Now let's move to the indoor shots. Now with indoor shots, first we are taking a look at an indoor selfie because we're just talking about the selfie. Let's take a look at the selfie. Now the difference between the OnePlus and the Asus more than anything is actually the color tone on the face. Asus is doing something where it's almost smoothing my face with that color tone, not necessarily with the details, but with the color tone and almost evening out the color on my face. Whereas the OnePlus has a lot more dynamics and is, I think, closer to actual color, which is surprising because ROG Phone 2 is the one that has been doing that. Also, the ROG's selfie is slightly underexposed and also less detailed than the OnePlus. Also has some noise. So while the ROG Phone 2 is very close to this, I think the OnePlus 70 still takes the cake here and makes a case for itself as the better selfie phone in indoor situations. Now for indoor, the next shot we will take a look at is an indoor wide shot. This is a shot of a room, and here one thing that I instantly noticed is that Asus has done some color correction where the light that you see about that orange chair is now whiter, is not as warm as it compared to the OnePlus 70, and this is actually not exactly correct because the OnePlus 70 has done a better job since that room is actually warm, so it uses mostly orange lights in that room. Both phones have done color correction, but the Asus has just gone too far away with that white. And when you zoom into the picture, you'll just clearly see how the OnePlus has less noise, more details, and just happens to take the better picture of the two. That said, the ROG Phone 2 is not far behind, and for a gaming phone, I think that camera is very good. Now move to low light, and this is the first picture where this is a very good way to understand how these phones do in low light. Now the first thing is how impressively the ROG Phone 2 has controlled the light bulbs. The light leaking around them is very less compared to the OnePlus device, and even looking at the fruits down there, I think you can see that the ROG is just very well controlled with the exposure compared to the OnePlus 70. That said, when we move to other areas of the picture, the 70 has more details in them, has retained a lot more information in that picture. We can also look at another picture here, same in low light, and what we can see is that while the Asus is doing a good job with the brightness, with exposing more areas, the OnePlus 70 is doing well with details, which is why in low light I'm going to give equal points to the OnePlus 70 and the Asus ROG Phone 2. Now moving to night mode though, this is where the OnePlus 70 truly shines. The image just becomes much better with that night mode. Asus done a good job, but I don't think there's been a lot of improvement with that night mode. The OnePlus 70 clearly takes the cake here and is the better picture for night mode. So I think night mode goes to OnePlus 70. Now we move to the low light selfie. Now with the low light selfie, here what you can see is again the same differences that we saw with the selfie in good light. There is a tonal difference between the Asus and the OnePlus phone. Now the tonal difference with the Asus here is something that I actually like. I like the color tone on the face. The OnePlus 70s is slightly wheatish. That said, there is just too much noise and aberration in the ROG Phone 2's picture, and the details are less as well, which is why I cannot really pick that one. The color I like, but the details are not really that good, which is why I think the OnePlus 70 wins this. That said, when we turn on flash, I took a picture in complete low light with flash, and here the ROG Phone 2 surprisingly takes a very good picture and the table is completely turned because now the OnePlus 70 has just way too much noise in this picture because of that flash. I don't know where that is coming from, but in this one, I think the ROG Phone 2 takes a better picture and the OnePlus 70 comes in at second. Now finally, we move to videos, and first we take a look at 4K 60 FPS video. Now with the 4K 60 FPS footage, there's no stabilization on the OnePlus 70, but there is stabilization on the Asus ROG Phone 2, and that is phenomenal. This stabilization is why the footage looks very good. This is not OIS, but it is electronic image stabilization and it looks damn good. The colors are also very good on the Asus. That said, the audio quality on the OnePlus 70 is just unbeatable, and even without stabilization, the OnePlus 70's footage does not look that shaky. That of course might also be how the camera was handled, but I think the quality of the OnePlus 70 is also very good. The Asus has EIS and good colors. The OnePlus 70 also has good colors. No EIS, but great microphone quality. So hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and right now we're shooting 4K 60 FPS video using the OnePlus 7 Pro and the OnePlus 7T. Around, we'll see if there's any stabilization, what the exposure handling is like, and most importantly, what the audio quality sounds like on the ROG Phone 2. I think I'll give the ROG Phone 2 and the OnePlus 70 the same points here. Now we move to 1080p footage at 30 FPS, and here the color differences are much bigger. The Asus certainly drops in saturation. It's a more natural looking video. The stabilization is very good on both the smartphones. That said, the audio quality of the 70 really shines here, and also the exposure handling. When you go to that area when there is a bright background behind me, the Asus actually loses a lot of exposure on my face, on the subject's face, and the OnePlus 70 does a phenomenal job, which is why the 1080p footage at 30 FPS this round goes to the OnePlus 70. Now, hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and right now we're shooting 1080p footage at 30 FPS using the OnePlus 7 Pro and the OnePlus 70. And as I walk around, there's a bright background behind me. You see what the exposure handling is like, if the phone is able to keep me in focus and well exposed. And we'll also see what the stabilization is like, and of course, as I said, the audio quality on the Asus ROG Phone 2. With the front camera footage, I'm not going to talk a lot here because the Asus ROG Phone 2 just beats the OnePlus 70 by a mile, because while both of them shoot 1080p footage with EIS, Asus is able to do that EIS at 60 FPS. Yes, you heard it right. It is 60 FPS footage. That is exactly why the footage looks so creamy, and also the colors, the dynamic range are very good, which is why I'm easily, eyes closed, going to choose the Asus ROG Phone 2 here. And with that, we come to an end of this comparison between the Asus ROG Phone 2 and the OnePlus 70. Now, clearly, with the points, even if you saw the whole comparison, the OnePlus 70 wins by a big margin, and that is not surprising. OnePlus has been perfecting their camera algorithm for a long time, and the OnePlus 70 is truly in that family of the OnePlus 7 and 7 Pro. After all those OnePlus phones, all that camera comparison, all those learnings that OnePlus has done and improved that camera quality. Now, Asus is also a company that has a lot of camera algorithm power behind it. That said, the ROG Phone 2 is primarily a gaming phone. If it was a camera phone, then I'm sure the Asus would have done a much better job. The Asus ROG Phone 2 is a gaming phone, which is why it cannot compare to the OnePlus 70 and is in a different league altogether. That said, for a gaming phone, if you're looking for a gaming phone but also want a great camera experience, then the Asus ROG Phone 2 is actually very, very good buy, and is not very far from the OnePlus 70 when you look at that camera quality. And that is, in a nutshell, what I think. If you want a camera-centric phone, the best camera phone between these two, then the OnePlus 70 is the easy choice. That said, if you're looking to buy this one and want to know how the camera compares, then I can tell you that this is not very far behind the OnePlus 70. And with that, I leave you to it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari with these two gorgeous phones from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.